Hello everyone, this is Johannes.
And this is Cinema.
And you are watching Board Gaming Ramblings.
And today we are taking a look at 7 Citadel.
This is a pretty new game. It's finally here. It's from Serious Pulp and it is a campaign-driven game this time.
It plays from 1 to 4 players in 5 minutes to 1,000 minutes.
Yes, that's the playtime on BGG.
That's the playtime.
It's going to take you 5 to 1,000 minutes, depending on how fast you win or die.
Do you want to come over to do something for 5 or 1,000 minutes?
We don't really know how long it's going to be. It's going to be somewhere between that. We are not really sure. 2018, I think it was, 2017, 2018, a game came out which was very unique. It was very different and special, called The Seventh Continent. It was a survival exploration game where you were exploring the seventh continent. You woke up there and you basically had a curse. You didn't know what your curse was. You had to explore around and find out and then try to lift that curse. Many people loved that game. Many people liked it and many people probably did not like it. I think for me, I was in like the middle category of liked it, didn't love it, didn't hate it. Do you feel you ended up in the same way?
Yes, I agree. There were many things about the game that intrigued me and I thought was fun, but there were other things about that game. For example, the survival bit that I thought was more tedious and you could play for a long time and then suddenly you died.
Yes, and so a few years later, quite a few years ago now, a new game popped out on Kickstarter called 7 Citadel, and now it is finally here. 7 Citadel tried to basically take 7 Continent and make it into a campaign game, more of something that more gamers would feel at home with, I feel like. And today we're taking a look at that game and seeing if that game still has the same feelings as 7 Continent, or if it's a completely different game, and of course, it's good. It's not going to be like it's not going to be a comparison because we have only played around 10 hours of 7th Continent.
Yes, we haven't
completed
a single curse
in
that game because it's hard. We're going to talk about 7 Citadel as a game of its own. And this is going to be a spoiler-free review as well. Yeah,
so before you comment it, there are not going to be many pictures and there's not going to be an overhead for this because we don't want to spoil and people have varying degrees of what they think are spoilers. Basically, of course, as we say, if you don't want to know anything about anything in the game, maybe watch this afterwards you have played the game. But we are going to make a reference to 7th Continent basically because they share like a lot of the DNA, to say that. So we're going to go into it and I'm going to do like a short overview thing. Basically in 7th Citadel, you are a slave gardener, which sounds nice, but it doesn't really sound nice either. You are a slave in a garden. You are tending to live monstrous plants that can kill you and eat you and make your life miserable. You are doing this because these necro druids are telling you to do it and you need to help them to master these plants so the plants can go out and destroy the burrowers, which are worms that are underground trying to make the land collapse onto itself. They have a master called the Worm Master, which seems like somebody who was 5 years old made up. What's the master of the worms called? It's the Worm Master! And that's the name of the main villain, probably. I don't know if it's a main villain, spoiler alert. But it's like some person who was the master of the war of that, called the Worm of the Worms. Yes, in this game you are exploring, you are trying to rebuild up a citadel, you're trying to build buildings, get special abilities, upgrade an action deck, and explore out in the world like you did in 7th Continent. You will be moving around on map cards, you will be doing different actions, you will be then trying to do a goal, and the game is scenario based, so after a while something's going to happen. You did your goal, whoop-de-doo, you managed to do the thing. Yes. And then you go back probably to the place, and then something's happened. And you get stuff and people are happy if you manage to do the thing. If you didn't do the thing, there's got to be other things happening.
There's going to be consequences.
This is probably the best overview I have ever done in any Board Gaming Ramblings video ever.
Yes.
I'm going to give this now a star, like a golden star for best overview of the year.
I like people who give stars to themselves.
Yes, the award for best overview 2024 goes to me. So, the game let's talk about it. You have seen it, haven't you?
Yes, I have, and I like the artwork on the cards. Most of the time, you're looking at this map that you're trying to navigate, and I love the little details on the cards. Sometimes there's clues to what's there to explore, and I like the looks of that. The other art, sometimes they have some drawings of people and such. I'm not a fan of that art style, but
Okay.
that's only my opinion. But I think the artwork is good, and also there's the main components of this game is cards, and those are of good quality, I would say.
I really like this because it's kind of different. The only game I can kind of that has the same kind of feeling is Tainted Grail, I feel like, where you are exploring a larger scale area.
Yeah.
Like most campaign games like this, you're exploring a little town, or you're exploring a city, or you're exploring these different smaller areas, but here you are exploring a bigger, larger, more epic area, and it feels that way as well because your miniatures are this big, and you're putting them, and they're usually like they feel too big for the cards because if they were to be actual human size, they had to be as tiny as you had to have tweezers to move them around. But I really like, and I feel you get that feeling with the artwork.
Yes, I agree.
And there are both standees and minis in the box, so you can choose which one you want to use.
Cool.
There's also other things in the box.
Yes, that's a rule book, for example. Do you have it over there?
Yes. Great improv. Great improv, Sunniva. I loved it. The rulebook is good because this game is pretty simple. This is one of those games that looks super complicated, and then you start playing it and it's really simple. You are basically, I'm not going to talk about this yet, but we're going to talk about that later. But the rulebook is good. It has some symbols. Most of them are on the back of this. You also have like a leaflet that you're using during the game, which has a play rate as well. Spoiler alert, is there a play rate, Sunniva?
Yes, there is a play rate.
I'm going to give the rulebook 2 worms.
That's a good quality.
No, up to the play
words.
rate.
Yes, the play rate is also good. I like that you have this one sheet that is everything basically you need of explanation of symbols. And the thing that I found most useful was the traits of the enemies. We checked that quite a lot, actually.
Yeah, because there's like keywords in many other games. And usually when you in this game, when I felt like as much as we played through one threat, which is one campaign. I didn't feel like I learned what they did.
No, I kind of did, but I had to double check a lot.
Yeah, because when I saw it, I was like, I don't know what this is, and then you could just say it, so that was really good. We played a game.
Yes.
And it took time.
Yeah, it has taken time. We played it just the 2 of us. So all of our plays have been 2-player only, and it has taken us 1.5 to 3 hours per scenario.
Yeah.
And together to finish the whole threat, it has taken us around 20 hours.
That is true. And how many of those did we do in one day?
10.
Yes, we played half of the thing. So basically, just to tell you a little bit about the structure of the game, every time you're starting a new threat, you have to play this introductory scenario. So after you play this once, it's going to be easier to play it again and maybe do other choices than you did the first time, because that's going to be move into the threat you're doing. And then there are 2 threat books in the box, and then there's one expansion you can also get with another threat booklet. And in there are different scenarios. I'm not going to flick through it, but there are different scenarios that you're going to play. And in it, there might be places, if you don't know anything, mute it for the next like 20 seconds. There might be places where you have like some branches, so you're not like doing the exact same thing again. So there might be some replayability, but we're going to talk more about story later. So let's dive into the game.
Yes.
The game is very much similar to 7 Continents.
Yeah, absolutely. The core concept is that you are moving around on these map cards, exploring what is to the directions that you can move in, and also do actions that can be available on the terrain cards as well, trying to interact with the people if you meet them, or things, or fight off enemies or creatures.
Let's talk a bit about the 2 main concepts of 7 Continents and how they are implemented here. Not because this is a comparison, but probably if you are watching this or you are looking at 7 Citadel, maybe you know something about 7 Continents, maybe positive or negative, because the main 2 focuses of that game is exploration and survival. How do you feel about exploration in the 7 Citadel?
I felt like that is a main part of the game. That is mostly what you're trying to do. You're trying to get a grasp of where the things are, because in the beginning you don't know where things are. You're trying to explore and get a full like map feeling.
Yeah.
And survival was the other thing.
Yes.
Yes, I feel like you are still surviving, but in a less intense and punishing degree than Seven Continents.
You really don't want to die because you will lose stuff and stuff will happen. We never did that. We actually won every single scenario that we played because we are pretty good. But it's still important. Like Seventh Continent, I feel like it's the first curse that they want you to play the first time you played it. I think they changed that afterwards because it is 60,000 hours long and almost impossible. Is basically to explore the whole map, like explore a lot of the maps. So when you play other things and you start somewhere, you're gonna be like, okay, I know where we are now, so now I know where these things are. And in 7 Citadel as well, it makes sense because in the beginning, your character has never been kind of outside of these walls.
Yeah,
they don't know anything.
trapped.
But then when they go back out, they know, okay, but to the south, we have this thing. There's even mechanisms where you can send other people out in the world to know things and find out stuff about the map, basically. The main concepts are mostly the same.
Yeah,
I'm
but
just gonna,
like different degrees of it.
Yes, but like
especially the survival. Yeah.
But the mechanisms are 99% the same, as much as I can remember. One thing I want to talk about is basically, and this is like was in 7 Continent as well. I think if I were to sit down and play 7 Continent now, I wouldn't feel like it was any complicated. Because this is a game where you look at this chart of actions you can do, and there's like 26 different actions, or 36 different actions, something like that. But all of them are the same.
Yes.
So it's not a game where you're like, okay, I have to do this action, which is different. It looks very complicated, but a pretty lighter campaign game. Do you agree with that?
I absolutely agree, and I think that is cool because what you do is you have this kind of slow deck building.
Yeah, very slow.
That is both your stamina, if I can call it that, but also your special abilities and how good you are at doing things. Because every time you encounter one of those actions, it says how many cards you are able or must draw, and then how many successes you get. And you have from half a success to 2 successes, so a variable degree of successes on your card. And then it's kind of like a push, not your push your luck, but you have to, what do you call it?
Probability,
calculate probability.
Absolutely. So basically the gameplay is pretty much the same level of difficulty, and it's a pretty light one. So before we go into like the big changes, I want to say another positive thing, which is that this game is very simple to set up and take down because it's mostly cards. So if you know you're going to play again soon, you can basically scoop up the cards that you have. If you have a map, there's some different things, but mostly because this game is scenario based, you will play a scenario and then save, and it's super simple. We have played it a lot outside, which is magical in Norway, because it's not always snow. Only 11 months of the year. And now the polar bears are not in the streets. They have like 1 month where they sleep and then they come back in June. But basically we played a lot outside. So then we played the scenario and it took us like 3 minutes to pack the game down and put it on the shelf and then take it out again. Let's talk about the big main part of what makes 7 Citadel a different game and what makes it probably be better for many players and probably be worse for some players.
Yes.
And that is the structure form, and we have talked about it already, but like let's dive deeply into it, like the worms burrowing themselves down and collapsing the lands. That's the 7 Citadel in thing. So added structure of a campaign is like the basic main thing of the changes.
I like it. It speaks to me, and I get why they've done it. It feels more, as you said, familiar to maybe like nowadays gamers. The 7 Continent it's something else. Absolutely.
Yes.
I feel like that's the hardcore mode of this. This is more streamlined, and also since you have these kind of chapters of a story, you have these natural points where you restitute and you are not always dying all the time, and I like that.
That is true. I think that it makes the game basically it makes the survival very, very much turned down, which we have already said. Which for me I think is better because I can focus on the exploration and doing the fun stuff and not know, okay, where am I going to find some berries now? Oh no, it's a bear and it's killing me. And that is kind of gone from the game almost. Let's talk a bit about the story. How did you feel about the story of this game? Because we enjoy a good storytelling in games.
Absolutely. I felt like the story is more of a backdrop. It's absolutely something that makes me care about what I'm doing. For example, this happens in the Citadel, therefore we must go out and explore this and that. That is very important for me to care about where I'm going.
Yeah.
But I'm not sitting biting my nails
Nope.
and being like, oh, I'm wondering what happens next.
No, it was kind of, I agree with you 100%. Basically, it's a story that's there.
Yeah.
Like, and the writing is good. Like, it's a
Yes.
good written story, but it's not exciting. It's just like, okay, it's there because...
I'm not there for the storytelling.
No.
I'm
Like,
here for the exploration and like experiencing the world that they've created, but not like the character building or
the story. Yeah, because the world, I feel like, is the story.
Yes.
Because exploring is super fun. Like, you're meeting so many
really fun.
weird characters, monsters, seeing what is this? And mysteries and puzzles and all of these things, which I love in this game and really remember enjoying in Seventh Continent. But it gives you that structure and that break time, basically.
Yes.
What I want to say is that this game kind of feels... I don't know, this is like just my feelings, but it kind of feels like the designers of Seven Citadel, they wanted to do this thing, they did that thing, and for many people it was kind of weird. It was kind of too different, too far out, so they thought, how can we make this thing, but make it closer to this other thing that more people enjoy? So it kind of feels like, I'm gonna say compromise, but I don't mean like they compromise their desires or their like ideas, but kind of, because their goal was the Seventh Continent, and they wanted that. And then maybe it wasn't for everybody, and now this is basically, I said this already, trying to make it more available.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I'm saying it's a different thing. So I'm basically saying, if you loved every single thing about the Seventh Continent, if you loved the survival, you loved having no idea where you were going in the beginning, and then, like, I remember moments we were like, oh, this is that place, or this is that thing in Seventh Continent, which you also get here, but to a lesser degree.
Yeah.
So that, like, the reveals aren't as big as in the Seventh Continent, I feel like.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the new mechanism that I've added to the
Yes.
game. The dialogue
The
part.
completely new mechanism.
I've never seen this done in a game before. Well, here the thing is that you can now speak with the people you meet in this world, and it sounded very unique and interesting. And then we did it, and just like, oh, it's like every other campaign story game.
They were hyping this up. Like, this
Cool.
is one of the things where if you go back and see like the anticipated video stuff like that, where we spoke about this game, it's like, oh, and then there's this dialogue concept mechanism where you can speak to people. It's a book with sections you read.
Yeah.
Like in every single other campaign game, which isn't bad. But I was thinking it was going to be something else.
Yeah, I was thinking more like we could choose more what we were saying to
Yeah.
the people and get more like individualized or, yeah, like to... yes.
You can that in some of this
Yes.
stuff. But I've also done that in almost every single other game. Like, you have choices, basically.
Yeah.
But in this choice, it's to say 3 different things instead of 2 different choices. Like, it doesn't feel in the 20 hours we did. This didn't feel like a new thing.
No, I liked it though.
Oh, yes.
I really liked
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
I think this was a clever addition to the concept. It makes it more like, gives it more depth, more freedom to do different things with the world, but it's not unique in any way.
No, but it makes this game, it makes it more narrative. It's not story driven, but it's more narrative driven. Let's just briefly talk about the thing that, and this is the same for Seven Continent. Basically, if you played Seven Continent or you heard about it, and you think that, oh, this might be, I'm just doing like the same kind of, because all actions are the same. You're basically moving to a new map, seeing what happens, checking out some points, doing tests, then moving to a new map. Oh, do we want to look at that thing? Oh, that's probably scary. Let's move another place.
Yeah.
And that is what you're doing. So that, for some people, might be tedious because it's the same mechanism over and over and over again. Did you get tired of doing that while playing?
No, actually not, because you get other, for example, equipment that you can use
Yes.
to manipulate the cards. You also can use, you have some cards on your hand, so you can mitigate your luck in the draw sometimes, or have special abilities for some specific actions. What you also are doing varies greatly. So I felt like it's a yes, that mechanism is the same all the time, but what you're using it for is wildly different.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Just want to it's not a problem for me, but it's one thing that I know some people might
problem, yeah.
feel because, but because I'm calling it light. It's not a light game because there's a lot of stuff going on, but it's a lighter campaign experience for me. And because of that, like everything goes pretty smoothly. Like when I have a combat, okay, I can do it because I have these 2 cool cards. I'm gonna draw 5 cards. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, I did it, or I have to play this card to do that. Done. There's not like many steps. It's not rolling many dice or playing many cards. Like it's pretty straightforward. And because the exploration is super cool, it never gets stale for me.
Yeah, and you have this constant deciding if you want to risk it or be safe, and that is also very interesting.
I'm going to talk about one thing, which is my main gripe with the game.
Yeah.
Which is the main negative thing about the game, which is the same thing. Which is basically sometimes in the game and every time after you play the game, you're getting told like put everything in the past, which is the discard pile, everything you have done. You have a banish, which then goes out of the game until the campaign is done. But then you have like the past and something like put everything in the past and on the board back into the box. And then you maybe have 40 cards that you have to sort and put into the exact correct spots during a campaign, during a scenario, or after a scenario. And if you want to play again, you have like this break doing that. It's my least favorite part of the game. But it also has to be there because that is everything in the game, all those cards. And when they did it together, it only took us like 5 minutes. So it wasn't like a big deal, but it was boring to do that. It wasn't fun. It was not a fun part of the game.
No, that's why I play the game. I like that task so much.
Yes.
Well,
Can we put them back in order
yes,
now?
please. Well, I think that is one of the times when I thought, oh, this would be smoother as a video game. You wouldn't need, that would be done in the background. I don't need to see it. But here we actually have to do it manually, but it actually doesn't take that much time. It's just a little tedious.
And I love this as a board game. Like the exploration, all that is really, really
Absolutely.
cool. How do you feel about the replay value of 7th Citadel and like the value of what you get in the box?
I think like 2 of these threats, as you call them, that it's 40 hours if you play our pace.
I am 90% sure, this is not a spoiler because you look at the components when you open them, that the other one is longer because it's a thicker booklet.
I want it to be longer. I hope it's longer because like I felt now we played this through the end and now I want to keep evolving the Citadel and get cooler things.
Yes.
And now I feel like, oh no, I have to start from scratch.
Yes.
I don't like that. So I hope the other is longer so I can do more stuff.
Yeah. So would you like to play another threat?
Yes, but I would not like to play the same again.
No, and not right now. Like I feel like I want to play this later because it's I don't like after played it quite a lot now. I don't think it would be a problem in a year or 2 to just took it down and play the next threat without
But I want more threats. Like there's 2 in the main box.
Yeah.
It's 1 expansion. It's I think fairly easy to make more threats to put in the mix, maybe.
Yeah, probably you're going to need cards as well because you're going to have like specific cards for different scenarios.
But I think the cool thing about 7 Continent and 7 Citadel is that you have this one world and you get to explore it from different angles each time. So I'm looking forward to that with a new threat that I can now, I can see things that I have seen before, but also together with things that I haven't seen before, which is really cool.
It's going to be interesting to see if it helps to know the map a little when you play the other one.
I'm excited for
that. But do you feel like for like the introduction hour is like 2 hours you need to play out each time, but let's say it's 20 plus 30, that's 50 hours of value in a box. I think that's a lot.
I agree.
Like I don't know the retail cost, but let's say it's going to cost you $150. I don't know if it's that much, probably a little bit less.
I don't know.
But I think that's quite a good if you play it basically. But that's the case with every single game.
That's true.
So the weight and who is this game for?
I think this is a fairly easy campaign game. It's not easy to do.
Nope.
It's easy to get the rules, but then to master the game, that's harder. But I think this is a game that ticks your boxes if you want to have this exploration part.
Yeah.
If you like to have things that are unknown to you and explore it.
Yeah, it's basically lighter on survival, but it's still there. You have to manage your stamina, like the deck of cards and the life points. Many times we have finished a scenario like there's only a couple of HP left each. So you have to manage that and do that in the be precise and do the things you are told to do. And I think this is for you if you don't need like the elaborate story, but if you feel like the story and the narrative basically here helps you enjoy the exploration, which is basically it for us.
Yes.
So are you ready for some final thoughts?
Yes, I am.
Before we do that, if you are new here and if you haven't done so yet, you can help us out in a big way by giving us a victory point.
And we get victory points when you click that subscribe button. You can also click the bell to get notifications every time we post a new video.
And now, final thoughts time. You begin!
Yes, I really like 7 Citadel. I was so happy that we finished the whole threat.
Yay!
We just decided that we want to finish that, and we wouldn't have done it if we didn't really enjoy it.
No, that's true.
I would super enjoyed it. I think it's super cool to explore and do this. Try to be lucky or try to play it safe. And when we are really short on life, we are rushing to. And I was just, oh no, I want to see that. And I know that we can look at that stone, but it might be a monster and might kill us. So that is a hard balance. I think it's really fun. I'm looking forward to play the next threat as well, and I'm going to give it an 8. I think it's really great.
8 for great. 7 Citadel is a very good game. I enjoy most of the things about it, like the few things I already spoke about, like resetting the cards and all of that. Other than that, I really enjoy my time playing this game. It's not my favorite story-driven game, but I really like how the narrative made it so that the exploration was even more fun and felt more meaningful than we felt that it was in 7 Continent for us. I kind of want to go back and play 7 Continent, some parts of me, but I think like I'd rather play the next threat here than play 7 Continent, which is kind of sad because we have every single thing story-based, like gameplay-wise for 7 Continent.
Maybe after the next threat.
Yeah, so in 60 years we will play it. I'm going to give it an 8 as well. Really enjoyed my time with it, and we're going to keep it because I want to play it again sometime. And that's going to be the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Johannes.
I'm Sunniva.
And you've been watching Board Gaming Ramblings, and bye-bye.